Hello there, and welcome to Women's Business.
My name is Dr. Marianne Shallcross-Smith, known to most as Dr. Daycare, and this is my co-host, Amy Vogel. We'd like to welcome you to our mentoring program designed to educate our community on issues facing working women. We will be speaking to our guests in the areas art, sciences, health, education, law, medicine, politics, community service, military, and business.
The goal of the show is to provide information that comes only from personal experience and to pass this information down to our daughters, nieces, neighbors, family, and friends. Much of the content will relate to the guest speaker's journey in their profession, what they have learned most about this process, and what they wished they had known before this journey began. Since women-owned businesses are the fastest growing sector of our economy, my guests will close with what lesson they would like to pass on to the viewing audience. On Women's Business, we are honored to welcome Joni Pfieffer-Moser this morning, and she is joining us from a multitude of careers that she's going to share with us about her journey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Amy. It's great to be here.
Thank you for being here. So Joni, why don't you tell us a little bit about your career journey?
Okay.
I've talked to you briefly before the show, and you have done many different fascinating things, and I really think the listening audience would enjoy learning about how you got from here to there and what you did to get there.
Okay. Well, I really think that no matter what your age, it's important to be doing something and contributing something. So I'm a little bit older now. I'm a grandmother, and I have just, for the first time, published a children's picture book that I wrote.
That is wonderful.
And it's called Annie, the Story of an Apple. I got into it because, well, first of all, as a younger woman, I was always very interested in child development. Right. And when I had my own kids, I did a lot of reading and a lot of talking with my friends and all that kind of stuff. And so when I became a grandmother and I was taking the kids to the library and to story time and this whatnot, I wanted to know more about children's books and their meaning and how you go about selecting them for kids. And so I ended up taking a course, children's literature.
Where did you take
And
this course?
I took it actually at Community College of Rhode Island.
Perfect.
Had a fabulous professor who lives
awesome.
in Cumberland. Her name escapes me at the moment.
Yeah.
But anyway, I learned a great deal. And toward the end, she encouraged us to write a children's book.
That's amazing.
So I didn't really know how to go about that, but I went to the library and I talked to the children's librarian, and I said, where is there a hole in the market? What is not written about that kids come in and want to know about? She looked at me and she said, apples. Every fall, kids come in. We're talking about small children, preschool, kindergarten, first or second graders. Every fall, they come in and we have no book. She said there's not very much. So that got me going. And when I come up with, because I like to write, and I've been writing on and off for a long time, creative writing. And when I, all of a sudden this story bubbled up. So it deals with a little girl, a little apple who's feminine, and she has a dream, and so it's all about that and how she gets there.
That's
and
wonderful.
It's very refreshing. The illustrations are interesting, and you know, whatnot. So that's what I'm doing right now in my life as far as career goes.
And how many edits and how long did it actually take you to write the book? Like, what is?
It didn't really take me a long time to write it, because when I start bubbling up with ideas, I'm able to,
That's great.
you know, you spend time, you get it down, and then I worked with an illustrator, and I had it sitting around my house for a long time, to be honest. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't know what to do with it.
Well,
except it was read at preschools and at libraries and with my grandchildren and that kind of thing. But anyway, I was fortunate last April to be part of an event in Wakefield, where I now live in a condo.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, it is. And I was part of a poetry reading thing called Women's Voices Rising. A poem that I had written was chosen, and I had to perform it.
Oh, wow.
So when I did that, somebody in the audience admired it and was interested and met me after, and she turns out to be a poet and a writer, and she lives in Woonsocket. She has a publishing company.
No way.
So long story short, we got involved with each other, and she's the one that's published this for me. So anyway.
What I'm hearing so far, even just with this book, is you're willing to take chances.
Yeah.
You're willing to go out there to get the job done. You went to CCRI to take the class.
Right.
You went and you performed your poem. I don't know if I would have the guts to do that.
Yeah.
You just keep putting yourself out there to make it happen, which I think is a huge lesson. That sometimes you got to put yourself in it to see how far it can go.
That's right.
And it might not go that far, but try.
I know.
Look at you. You have a whole book now.
I know.
That's
I know,
amazing.
and I've written a few articles that have been published. Anyway,
perfect time to do that.
Yes, I would say that. But as far as my career goes, I was in radio, and I started in radio in 1974.
Wow.
I worked at Channel 10, say 72.3.
Yep.
And it was a more or less administrative position, but I also did some producing because the general manager at that time, his name was Blake Byrne. He was a very interesting man, and he was interested in having women get ahead, and he let us do things.
That is very nice.
So, and long story short, my voice got on tape, and the radio station, there was a television and a radio station on top of the outlet building, which is now where that college is. I can't even think of the name. Johnson and Wales. That's where that is now. Oh, really? Yeah. Well, that used to be the outlet building, and we had a television and a radio station on the top. And my voice got on tape. The general manager of the radio station heard it and asked me if I would like to try out for a radio show because it was license time, and they had no women on the air.
So they had to meet certain criteria.
They had to meet certain criteria. So I decided to, why not? The same thing you were just talking about. I'm going to try it. I always saw myself as a serious person. And this was a DJ job, and I'm thinking.
And you'd never done anything with this at all?
No. Oh, but I did go ahead. I went to Boston 3 times. I got the license that you had to get in those days.
You had to get a license to be on radio?
You had to get a license to read the meters and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
I don't think they have to do that anymore. But anyway, I had people work with me, and we did air checks, and we went over them, and he taught me how to talk on the air. So I did that, and at that time, Barbara Hamilton was doing news on WPRO on the weekends, and there were no other women. You turn the radio, I mean, can you imagine turning the radio on and not hearing female voices?
All the time you have both men, women on the radio.
Robin Young was doing overnight Saturday night in Boston. You put them on overnight so nobody hears them. And then Allison Steele was in New York on NBC, and she did overnights Monday through Friday. That was it as far as I knew. The rest of the country, I don't think much was going on. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all, but I decided I never played the woman's card. I just worked hard.
That's awesome.
and kept at it and progressed from job to job to job. I was on WNRI in Woonsocket from 77 to 80 when Paul Perry was there.
That's amazing.
And then I went to WMYS. I did the morning show. I was the first woman to do a morning show, became the program director, first woman to be a program director. And that station, WMYS, which is 98.1, it's now country.
Yep.
A very successful station. Yes. And so did really well with it. So describe a radio show. So I know, like what I hear on the radio when I listen in my car or I'm driving somewhere. But I feel like it's very interactive, and I feel like there's a lot of planning, but you also have to go with the flow because you don't know what to expect. Yeah.
How do you make that happen? How do you have that flexibility yet structure?
Well, you do have to have the ability to do some quick ad-libbing, but you do plan. We always planned, and you try to be topical and find little short ways to say things because you don't have a lot of time. The enemy is talking too much when it's a music show, and that's what it was.
Oh, really?
So you just talk between the songs or at the end of a sweep of songs type of a thing. So we would plan ahead. We would have a sheet in front of us just for ideas and that kind of thing. So, and when I first started out, all the music was on cartridge. It sort of looks like a...
Is that like an 8-track?
Yeah, it looks like that,
Okay.
sort of. And then when I was in Woonsocket, we actually played 45s and albums.
Like those are records, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, those are records.
My daughter
I
doesn't
know.
even know what like a tape.
I
cassette is,
know.
So I'm like,
And by the time I left radio, we were on CDs. And then when I did some consulting of a radio station, when I left radio as an air personality, I did consulting for a station in Connecticut. And by then, everything was on computer. The person just sits and looks at the screen.
Yeah.
Now, I couldn't tell you if that's what's happening today.
I'm
really,
sure
'cause
it's all
been
digital.
yeah.
Because
You just look on the screen and they'll tell you when to talk.
that's amazing.
So it's evolved a
You would actually have to put the 45 on.
Oh yeah, hold it, cue it up and hold it, and then turn the mic on and be talking, and
No way.
and at a certain time you let it go, and then you have X amount of seconds to talk up to the vocal.
Yeah.
So
Now,
it's,
what if you received a request? How would you find the record
Well,
and all those other records?
that wasn't really done a lot because
Okay, so that'd be a lot.
I know because my program director at JAR taught me that not many people actually call radio stations
Oh.
to request songs, so you cannot program your station like that. You have to, they do research and they, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's good.
that was discouraged. But there were oldie shows where they would take requests. I never did that kind of a thing.
When I was growing up, my father was very into 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
So I grew up listening to 101.5.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew all the oldie songs before I knew any of my generation music.
Yeah.
And but now I put that station on. It's not the oldies anymore. Well, I'm sure it's old to the kids that are listening to it.
Yeah,
but
probably.
it's not the 50s and 60s.
No.
Which is, I miss that music.
Yeah,
Like, they
yeah.
should bring it back.
Yeah, yeah.
So throughout your journey, I'm sure you interviewed some amazing people.
When I was at WMYS, which I'll say 98.1, I think
Okay,
people
yep.
would recognize that better. Matt Lauer was on my
I love
show.
Matt Lauer. I'm a big Today Show fan.
Yeah, and Livingston Taylor, he's a singer, he's James Taylor's brother, that are coming to mind. Earlier, when I worked in Providence on JAR, I worked with Meredith Vieira for 2 weeks.
That's cool.
And it's funny because we grew up 2 streets from each other, but she's a little younger than I am.
Oh my God, that's
So
amazing.
she went to Lincoln School in Providence. So but anyway, yeah, and I'm trying to think who else. I'm sure there were others. It escapes me at the moment. But
That's amazing.
when I left radio, that was in '89, and then I did some consulting and whatnot. But eventually, I started. I was the voice of PBS in Providence in the days when Susan Farmer was there.
Yes.
She knew me and asked me to do some radio spots in the beginning, and then the gal that had been the basic voice announcer for them got sick and passed away. She had the most gorgeous voice. And then I did that until, later in the 2000s.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
What an incredible journey you have taken. And
And now I'm in writers groups and I'm in poetry groups, and that's what I do. I'm writing.
well, it's so my mom, who's usually on the show with me,
Yeah.
can't be today. So when I was growing up, she worked constantly, and whether she was in building a business or on PTAs or on the school committee or running for office or writing a book. But I think when you're that type of person that you constantly have to be going and busy, it's like, to me, I'm like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that's where you get your energy from. It's
Yeah.
constantly for the next, whatever that next thing is, the success of the next thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is amazing because especially in like the 60s and 70s and 80s, women had to push a lot harder
Oh, they do.
than they do today.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
that's a tribute to you
Yeah,
and
thank you.
your success, because
Thank
that's
you.
very difficult.
I've written a few feminist poems and whatnot.
I like it.
And I didn't bring anything today, but I have some strong feelings about some of that.
Oh,
But,
I'm sure you witnessed and you were around things much different than we are around things
Yes,
today. 'Cause
yes.
it's a different
There
world, right?
was
Every
dis-
generation
Yeah,
builds on itself.
there was discrimination.
Yeah.
There was a radio personality at one of the stations who would turn his back when I walked in the room.
Oh, what?
I had a boss who said, I don't think women should be on the air. I don't believe in it, but if you're going to be on the air, you're going to be good. That's what
It worked out well for you.
That's what.
Now, were you from Rhode Island originally?
Yes, I was born and raised in Rhode Island, but I lived in New Jersey, and I lived in Minnesota and Virginia also when I was a young adult. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Rhode Island, we have a very thick accent.
Yes.
Especially mine.
You had to get rid of it when you.
So how did you, like, I always
got badgered.
I went away to school in Vermont.
Yeah.
Then I lived in Boston, which is like Rhode Island. Then I lived in Louisiana. My poor students, when I was a math teacher, couldn't understand me because of my accent.
Yeah.
How did you kind of neutralize your accent so it wasn't as thick?
When I lived in New Jersey and I got teased so much, that's when it started. And then when I did get into radio, there was a consultant who talked to me a little bit about, I had a very broad A, and he tried to teach me how to get rid of that. And of course we had to bring ours back.
I think they bring them back where they're not supposed to be.
I know, but anyway.
So did it take you a while to do that?
No, not really.
Oh, it
wasn't too. I don't remember that it did. I probably have the Rhode Island accent back and not even realize it.
Well, I can't tell because mine's so thick.
Yeah.
And my husband's from Wisconsin. He has just a neutral tone. And when he first came out here for college, he's like, I didn't understand some of the professors because of such a thick accent.
Yeah.
And then we talk really quick at the top of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's next to Minnesota. They have quite an accent.
Yes.
You know.
Don't you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I lived there for a short while, and I was quite aware. Of the
Minneapolis area?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Edina, actually, was a town right outside.
Very nice.
Yeah.
What brought you to, just for fun?
My husband's job change at that time.
That's
you know, we dutiful wives just went along.
Yes, of course. They moved you in.
I'm being sarcastic, but oh well. Yeah. I was young. Yeah,
well,
young.
You do what you need to do.
You do. You do. That's right. Absolutely.
Now, throughout your journey, your professional journey, what is one thing, not change, but that you learned a very valuable life lesson from? What maybe was the one thing that you were like, ooh, I didn't realize that? Your wisdom kind of sparked that.
That's a really good question, Amy. I think all along, and I know this sounds very cliche-ish, but be true to yourself. Don't, I'm trying to think of the word, make sure you're sticking with your values. And like when I went on the air, some women that were on air would be suggestive.
Yep.
You know, in the early days, if you were a woman on the air, you might be like that. I just said, no way, I'm never going to do that. And I wouldn't do commercials that were, you know, where I had to fake, you know, that be sexy. You know, like, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to be who I was and stick to my values, and that's pretty much.
And it worked for you.
Yeah, and I've always tried to model this behavior for the younger people in the family. Whether it rubs off or not, who knows?
I think every generation learns from the next generation.
Yeah.
It might not be what you intended them to learn, but it's
something.
There's always values within it.
Yeah.
Now, did you have a mentor along your journey? Was there someone significant in your life that maybe different parts of your journey, someone significant?
Maybe, well, in radio they're all men, but they were good men.
That's great.
And outstanding men that stuck with me and taught me a lot and believed in me and that type of thing,
That's amazing.
And they always said that they could count on me, you know, so.
Now, what time was your show on it?
Oh, different. When I started out overnight, they stuck me on overnight. When I was first
Did you have a family at that moment?
Yeah, I had kids.
Oh, wow,
I
that's
had
a lot.
kids at home. They were not young, they were early teens.
Okay.
So it was more manageable. And they were, you know, so, and what was the question?
No, when balancing family and work, right?
Yeah,
So if you have kids at home and you're working overnight, It's amazing how you balance that. How did you balance?
Well, the next day would usually be Sunday, so
Okay.
you know, I would be able to sleep in, and the kids would be doing their own thing anyway, or they'd have sports or whatever, whatever was going on. And then as I progressed, when I went to WNRI, I had the morning show, so then I was up at 4. And
How many days a week?
5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, up at 4, and you know, get ready, go over there. I was the only person in the building in the beginning because it's a daytimer. That's a small station, or it was. Made the coffee, called the meteorologist, recorded the weather, ripped the news wire.
No way.
You know, and then went on the air. That's how it was. So that was morning, and then when I went to MYS, I did the morning show the whole time I was there. At CTK at the end, before I left there, I did middays.
Okay.
So.
And what's is that like?
It's like 10 to 2.
See, that would be my type of chef.
Yeah. Well, that's usually where they put women generally.
Really?
Yeah, or it was.
I'm not good at early in the morning. I'd fall asleep on the radio.
I have trouble now. My husband will tell you, I have to get up at 6. I can't stay in bed any longer. It's like your body clock, you know.
Just naturally, it's like, let's go, let's get up.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, if a woman wanted to get into either writing a book or on the radio, what 3 suggestions would you give a woman to do that?
Well, as far as writing goes, if anybody feels like they want to learn how to write, of course you can take a creative writing course.
Yeah.
But if you're pretty good at it and you want to put yourself out there a little more, I would suggest joining a writing group, a creative writing group, which I did, and down in Peacedale.
Okay.
And I love it. The most wonderful people.
So it's just a community of people that enjoy writing. Yeah,
everybody enjoys writing, and each week they call it a prompt. It's a topic, and we write to that for the next gathering. Then we have to get up with a mic and deliver it to. It's good practice.
How many people are in the group?
It varies, but I would say around 20.
Oh wow!
Sometimes that many don't come at any given time, so that's a good thing to do.
I didn't know there were groups that actually you work with peers and other people in the community to help you.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those in the state. There's some wonderful authors in this state, I have to tell you.
Yeah, there is good.
Ann Hood.
Yeah.
Is one. She's from Providence, and I did meet her recently.
Oh, that must have been great.
So that was really nice. So, and what
else?
3 questions you had.
Yep. So what 3 suggestions would you get?
So that would be one. As far as radio goes, I am a little bit out of the loop because it's been a few years since I was actually in and on the radio, but I always believe that you, quote, paid your dues, and that you start out the simplest job possible. If you can just get your foot in the door and be a dependable person and be willing to try things and whatnot, that, you know.
And I think you said that perfectly initially, that you did the admin type stuff, and you're getting the coffee, you're getting the meteorologist report, you're getting the news off. Like, you were willing to do anything to be successful and get the job done, which I think is a huge attribute that people need to understand.
Yeah.
Even if you're, whether you're top of the line or you're on the bottom, it doesn't matter. We're all trying to get to the same place with the same job, so you got to be willing to give that helping hand.
Yeah. And Providence is a medium market. It's nothing to, you know, it's not as big a market as Boston, but it is a good-sized radio market, so.
So, you did Providence, and then but you never got into the Boston radio, right?
No, I didn't. I had kids. I just didn't want to. You know, that was a personal decision that I made.
Yep.
I did apply to New York once, almost got a job, but I didn't want to move my kids again. I had moved from New Jersey up here, and I just.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that. I mean, you know, if you bring kids into the world, you've got to.
You make sacrifices.
Yeah, you do, and that's the way it goes, and it's important. So, try to do all these things. I always call myself a juggler. Try to do all these things around other things, you know.
But it's true, and I think it's again back to that balance. It's like you're juggling it, you're holding it up, you're just making everything work as best as you can with what you got at that moment, you know. And and I always say it's, you know, as you're getting older, when I was in college, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, I got so much going on. then I have a job and I'm in grad school. I'm like, oh, so busy. Then you have a job and then you have a husband, then you have a kid. I'm like, but
I know.
then I just realized, you know what? We're all busy with whatever's going on in our life at that moment.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. I'm like, you know what? Busy is to everyone what it is at that moment in their life. But you can always add stuff on, I've realized. Right when you think you can't, you just, you find it, you make it work.
As far as continuing to be busy, I have this book out now, and it's in softcover.
That's great.
I held it up once, I think. Annie, the Story of an Apple. And we're going to do a series of books.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I shouldn't divulge ideas.
On the apple or on
no,
something?
on other fruits.
Oh, nice. I like it very much.
I have something in mind for the next one.
That is great.
So we're excited about that. And we just hope to get it going. So.
And it keeps you young.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It keeps you
absolutely
out there and
we're always going to
good.
something, either a poetry reading or, I have something due for the next writers group or whatever, or a lot of going on with this. Try to get into bookstores and have signings and that kind of thing,
I think that's a hard thing too, is to try to get into the bookstores to have the signings. You really got to be going and asking.
Absolutely.
And I think this is actually a job, career for you, but also different hobbies people have, I think, helps them to keep going and keep steam ahead, because it's easy just to easy for me to just sit there sometimes.
Absolutely,
Now, we only have a couple minutes left.
Okay.
If you had to offer any advice to the listening audience about just your journey in general, personal and professional, what's the top advice you would give them? I know you said be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself, be honest. Don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because they can say yes, no, or maybe, and sometimes one might be uncomfortable, but it's good to push yourself a little bit, and
I think that's huge.
Be observant, be nice to people, listen to people, care.
Yeah, it's true.
And
I agree with the be willing to ask. I think so many times people are afraid of what they think is rejection.
Right.
Not realizing, no, that's not rejection. That's just a different step to a different way to get there.
And think about yourself. I mean, when somebody asks you something, a favor, or maybe could you help? You're okay with it, so why wouldn't?
I feel appreciated a little bit that they're willing to ask me that question.
Right.
Which I completely agree with.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I think this show has been a huge success. I'm very impressed with your whole journey through.
Thank you.
And again, being a different generation, I think it's even more meaningful because you had a lot more obstacles to overcome.
Obstacles, yes.
And I agree. You got to be true to yourself, honest, and keep asking the questions, because you never know where that can bring you.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Amy. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you.